Social Security is going broke, Josh. There's no reason to plan on that for retirement. I'm not going to use that. They're going to steal it from us. They're going to give it to the illegal immigrants. They're going to do this. They're going to lower our Social Security benefits. It's broke. I'm not going to use it. Huh, okay. Interesting. What are you going to do for health care once you hit retirement? Oh, I'm going to Medicare. In fact, they need to make Medicare for all and lower the enrollment age to 60 because Medicare is where it's at. That's what Bernie and AOC says, and I need it. No pre-existing conditions. So you're saying you're not going to rely on Social Security. The Social Security is being stolen from illegal immigrants and the politicians and whatnot. But Medicare is there for you, and they should even open up to more people at an earlier age. Okay. Yeah, that's called cognitive dissonance, man. Dissonance. That people don't know what the hell they're talking about. So let's look at this. We got the Trustees report in 2020, annual Trustees report. There's some good stuff in here, as a matter of fact. It's very, very interesting, and I'll put a link in the show notes. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down to the, right here, and we're going to go down to the financial outlook on medical, financial outlook for medical. Now, medical consists of HI, that's hospital insurance, that's your Part A, and SMI, which is supplementary medical insurance, which is Part B and Part D. So HI is Part A, is what you pay for right now as part of your FICA taxes. Part B and Part D is Part B is your physician services, and Part D is your prescription drugs. You pay that with a premium once you hit Medicare 65. That's $150 a month roughly for Part B right now, and that's $50 a month roughly for Part D. Now that is where the IRMA kicks in. If you make too much money, the IRMA rules kick in where you pay a premium increase, a surcharge, if you will. All right, so let's check it out. So HI and SMI, the two completely different units. So we're going to go down to here, and we're going to look at HI. All right, so what we're going to see here, hold on just a second. I would hit pause, but I got big old Pablo in my hand here, right here. Financial status of the HI Trust Fund. Oh, my lands. In 2021, look at that. In 2021, we got 372 million or billion of income, but we got 396 billion of expenditures. We only have 146 billion or 169 billion at the end of 2021. Ratio of assets to expenditures, 50%. So we got basically half. We need $100 and we only got 50 cents in the fund. Isn't that interesting? So 50% funded on hospital insurance. That's in 2021. In 2025, it's 15%, my friends. Yeah, that's going to get ugly. And then in 2026, we got no money left. We're just it's broke right now, not solvent. And so there you go. Percentage right there to 2010, and then shoops, fell off a cliff. We're right here, right now. 50%. Not good. All right, so that's just HI. All right, so I find it interesting, too. Hold on a second. The standard hospital insurance payroll tax is scheduled to remain constant at 2.9% for employees and employers. In addition, starting in 2013, high-income workers pay an additional 0.9% for their earnings above $200,000 for singles and $250 for married. We need to raise that tax rate. That's all there is to it, because everyone should pay a bigger role in this because it's not funded. It's just not. All right. By the end of the long, would be okay. Oh yeah, right here. Since income thresholds for determining eligibility for the additional HI tax are not indexed over time, an increasing proportion of workers and their earnings will become subject to the higher tax. And by the end of the long-range projection, over 80% of workers will be subject to this additional tax, i.e. they don't index it for inflation. Very sneaky, Obama, very sneaky. He did the same, this 2013, he did the same thing with the IRMA stuff. But then they got that back subject to inflation or index. All right, so let's go down to SMI because that's the big one, Part B and Part D. Here's the SMI differs fundamentally from HI in regard to the nature of its financing, the method of which the financial status is evaluated. I'll let you figure that out right there, but shows the actual projections from now until 2029. The Part D and Part B and the total SMI trust fund under the intermediate assumptions. For Part B, expenditures grew at an average annual rate of 6.9 over the last 5 years, exceeding GDP growth by almost 3%. That's going to be tough. Their expenditures are 8.2% increase for the 5-year period from 2020 to 2024, which is faster than the GDP by doubling. Crazy. All right, so here's Part B, 2021. We got 429 billion of income, 434 billion of expenditures. It's a deficit, and we only have 112 billion at the end of the day. We only funded 25% of Part B. Look at that, man. Not good. This is under the intermediate assumptions, and there's, again, just like Social Security, you've got think it's low, intermediate, and high. And the intermediate covers low is 0 to 25, if memory serves. Intermediate is 26 to 75, essentially, and high is 76 to 100. And you can read more about that. All right, so anyway, you can see it's not funded, man. I mean, it's not funded at all. We got deficits, and it's only going to get worse. Now, it's interesting, the total income, because they have raised, remember, the Part B and Part D is subject to IRMA, right? And on top of that, the taxes you pay for HI. This is Part B and Part D. It's SMI, not HI. So you're not paying for this in your daily payroll tax, just FYI. But anyway, be it as it may, still not funded. They don't have enough in there to cover their expenditures. They just don't. Part D, same thing. We have 117 billion and 116 billion going out the door. We only have 8 billion in funds at the end of the year. So if anything goes wrong, whether there are assumptions on employment, this whole thing goes kaput. They just don't have enough money to pay the bills. Now, you could say, but Josh, they're running surpluses each and every year, so at least they're not running deficits. Yeah, okay. Okay. Your total contribution, 546 billion, 550 going out the door. We're running deficit. Now, they're saying next year it'll be 599 billion, 590 coming in, so they're running surpluses, but they only have 130 in that infamous lockbox. Isn't that interesting? All right, hold on just a second. Interesting, and this is what I use in the my Right Capital. Their expected SMI per capital expenditures were going to grow by 5.4% a year from now until 2029, 4.8 from 2030 to 2044, and 3.8 thereafter when the older baby boomers die. I just use 5.5 according in the whole thing. I just use 5.5% for medic or healthcare cost inflation as an FYI. So the population growth in 2020 to 2029 is supposed to jump by 2.3%. And yet, yeah, and then it'll start shrinking every year thereafter. 100%. I actually think it's probably on the high end. But anyway, so you can see they expect the inflation of Medicare, this is Part B and Part D, to slow down gradually as people age out. I actually agree with that, but I'm just using 5.5%. All right. Anyway, the point being is if you just look at the Trustees report, you can see that it's not funded. Medicare Part A is broke right now. Medicare Part B is just running on a shoestring in Part D because they just don't have enough money in reserves. Now, at the end of the day, they're making enough as income to pay their bills. I get you. Part A isn't. And then if we have a big change in employment, it's gonna be bad, man. Keep paying low interest rates, which is where they're getting some of their. They're on that $100 billion they have in reserves on Part B. They're making interest off that, so they're using that as an example. But if the interest rates stay low, what are you gonna do? So Medicare is broke. There's no other way around that. At least HI is, hospital insurance, which is what you're paying right now. So I don't want to hear a thing about Social Security if you're going to go on Medicare. You have no right. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but you have no right to say, oh my goodness, they're going to take Social Security but expand Medicare because Medicare is free. Free, I tell you, it's free. And don't forget, one of the reasons Part B and Part D are doing as well as they are is because there's Part C, which is Medicare Advantage. All right, so we got Medicare Advantage. A lot of times, a lot of those Part C policies will throw Part D in there with it, if that makes sense. And as such, you got Medicare Advantage programs that's taking some of the burden off Part D. It's throwing on the insurance company. I like that. Part B does have increasing premiums, and that's just a nice thing about Part D is you do pay increasing premiums as the economy changes and whatnot. So Part B is someone has a pay as you go, not quite because you're only paying $150. Actually, it's interesting. The average person beneficiary gets about $13,000 of benefit. I think it was a year on Medicare. I think that's actually what I showed right here. Let's see. Hold on a sec. Oops. I can never get that down. I saw in here 13,000 was the average. Yeah, I'm not going to find it. But anyway, it's interesting. It was like 13,000 was the average. I think it was annual benefit per year of Medicare. I'm not going to find it. But anyway, so hope this helps. If you're worried about Social Security, you should be worried about this. I'm not worried about Social Security. I'm really not all that worried about Medicare. The reason I'm not is because what are you going to do about it? Best thing you can do is get your health in order. That way you don't have to worry about health care as much as other people who are in bad shape. That's all there is to it. In fact, right now, I'm going to go down and work out. All right, we'll see you.